Okay, this is a video I wanted to make because I'm spending a lot of time in the startup circles, going to certain venture capital investment days and talking to all these kind of small business owners because myself, I'm on a small business startup journey, having left the private equity field. So these are the kind of questions people have perhaps asked me, thinking that private equity people know what they're talking about when it comes to business. Look, certainly there's a lot of experience that you gain having worked with a number of CEOs and very successful business people, but I certainly don't know all the answers and certainly don't know the answers to your specific individual questions. But in general, I've distilled a few little questions that seem to keep cropping up from people who are trying to do something similar and start their own business. So let's jump into my list. Number one, what type of business should I start? Now, this is one that does the rounds on YouTube. You can go on and find heaps of videos, 10 videos that you should start in 2023 or 2024 or whatever. Look, the reality is what type of business you should start is highly dependent on your skills, your abilities, and your network. So if you're a skilled software engineer, starting a software business makes sense. But if you have no coding experience and you think you're just going to hire someone to do all that for you, I think you're going to have a little bit more of a struggle to get off the ground, unless you've got an incredible financial backing. And again, different businesses have different objectives to begin with. A lot of tech startups say go for early growth and spend a lot of money in customer acquisition, and traditional businesses grow more organically by being profitable from day one and not focusing on massive exponential growth. What type of business should I start isn't something that you should be asking or looking for answers on YouTube. It is something that you should reflect on, think about what your skills and your personality is like, and then perhaps pursue something along those lines where you can identify that you have a real skill set. The second question is, how much money do I need to start a business? And again, this one is a bit of how long is a piece of string? Well, it's double half its length kind of question. So there are some basic things that you can think about, like, do you need office space? Do you need to rent? Do you need employees? Do you need someone to write software for you? Do you need to buy some manufacturing equipment, or can you do that through some kind of contract arrangement with an established manufacturer? Do you need licenses? Do you need supplies? There's a whole bunch of things that you can think about, and you can actually write these down. It doesn't cost you anything to map this out on a piece of paper. A few cents for the ink and a bit of paper, but that's it. You can actually start making a bit of a financial plan about how much you think it's going to cost to start your business. Now, if you know how to code, you've already got a laptop, and you're doing a software business, it might be very low cost for you to get going. But if you want to do something in manufacturing, say you want to start a food truck, that's going to cost you a little bit more money. But you can do a bit of research and you can find some good tutorials from people on how much that's likely going to cost, like for a van fit out, for example. Since you're doing that, it brings me to my third question, which is, how do I create a business plan? Now, something that private equity and investment banking does teach you is the value of creating good marketing material in the form of pitch books and information memorandums. Similarly, a business plan for an early stage business is very important, and it's something you can do for relatively low cost. If you've got a computer, you can whip it up on Word, and even if you don't, you can just write it down on a piece of paper, again, when you're doing some of these projections with the finances. In your business plan, you want to outline your goals, your target market, your market strategies, and also perhaps include those financial projections. And in this process, you can start thinking about what your competitors look like, what your strengths and weaknesses will be, how you're going to differentiate yourself from those competitors, what your customers look like, and perhaps even doing a bit of a customer analysis, doing some surveys, reaching out to some friends and saying, hey, would you buy this product? What do you think of this? All of this kind of market research is going to help you become grounded and identify whether your idea is just an idea or if it's a viable business opportunity. Number 4 is, what legal requirements do I need to follow? Again, this is going to depend on a whole bunch of stuff. So where you're based, what country you're in, for example, is going to have different rules around how you operate a business. There are a whole bunch of different structures that you can choose from, and you can get professional advice from accountants and lawyers, how you structure a limited partnership or a company or whatever structure that you think you need to begin with. Then you're going to have more specific business requirements. So if you're in food manufacturing, there might be food rules around how you handle and store food on your premises and whether whether you need special licenses and approvals from your government or whoever regulates that in your local area. Likewise, if you're going into construction, you might need to have a qualification that enables you to actually be licensed to do that job. But if it's something like software engineering, you might not need so many of those licenses. You might find that you can do it relatively cheap, but you should still seek professional advice, because ultimately how you structure your business from day one could go on to be hugely costly in the future if you get it wrong. And the worst thing to happen would be if you become successful and then get shut down. Okay, so this gets you to the stage where you've considered all your markets, you've considered your customers, you have a viable idea, or you're at least semi-confident in the fact. So you set up the business and you start running it. So the next question I get is people who are a little bit further along that journey, and that is, how can I improve the marketing of my business? Now, marketing is one of the most essential parts to the majority, because this is what's going to help you drive your customers towards you, right? So it's really important to think about marketing. So you want to think about what strategies you can use to market your business. Should you create ads? Should you put on more staff in, say, sales roles, or can you even afford that? But ultimately, having this focus on marketing is really, really valuable. And lastly, the question I get asked a lot, and I guess this is the one most relevant to my career in private equity, is how do I manage my finances? Now, in my private equity days, I've dealt with a lot of distressed assets, and this is a result of people not managing their finances, as well as some other factors that can go against you during the course of ordinary business. Having that budget, tracking your expenses, and understanding the key drivers of your cash flow is hugely important to business success. Having a good reporting system, somewhere where you can track your finances and track any overdue invoices and all those sorts of things, is very valuable, but it does cost a little bit more money. So there you have it. There's the 6 questions I often get asked from people in the business startup community about how to start up a business, and there's some of my basic responses to them. I'm not a gospel on this stuff. I don't profess to know everything about starting a business. I'm just sharing some of my experiences with you. If you found this helpful, please drop a comment below, hit like or subscribe. It all helps me grow this channel. Check out some of my other videos. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.